So a ratio is a comparison of two quantities. Again, what we talked about a minute ago, we could write with a colon horizontally, so A to B, or you could write that as the fraction A over B. Okay, remember B cannot be 0, so you won't be writing ratios or dealing with ratios that have 0 in the denominator. Okay, for an actual ratio, you're going to want the same units. No fractions or decimals in the numerator or denominator. You might start out with a ratio that has that, but then you have to go through a simplifying process. And your end result should be simplest form. Okay. So one of the examples that they give in the book is they've got a photo that is turned into a poster. Okay, and they want the ratio of the photo to the poster. So you want to make sure if you're comparing two figures that you're comparing the corresponding sides. For instance, if it's the width of a 3x5 photo and then you have this poster that's, similar, you want to make sure you're setting up a ratio with the width, either width to width, length to length. You wouldn't want to go width to length in your ratio, okay? So in a photo that is 8 inches by 5 1/3 inches, and then we have a poster that is 2 feet by 1 1/3 feet. And we're going to set up a ratio between the widths. The width of the photo to width of the poster. Okay, you want to be careful with your order. The order matters. Whatever order they give you is what you want to follow. Easiest when you're doing with the colon, because whatever they put first, you put first. But if you're doing the fraction, whatever they put on top, you put on top. Okay. In the book, they show the fraction, but sometimes people are a little bothered if they have a fraction on top and not one on the bottom with how to get rid of those. So we're going to kind of do a couple steps here. We're going to worry about the order first and just get the two numbers into a ratio. So if they want photo to poster, then, and we're talking about the width, then we're going to do so they've got the width first, 8 inches and 2 feet. Okay, so we've got 8 inches for the photo, 2 feet, and you do want to put your units in. Those are going to serve as a reminder then they have to be the same. Okay, so here you're going to check units. So you get your ratio set up, deal with the units next. If they're not the same, you're going to convert one or the other. Okay, so we'll go feet to inches. So how many inches are in 2 feet? If you know how many inches are in 1 foot, you can say, 1 foot equals 12 inches, right? So if we multiply both sides of this by 12, 2 feet would be 24 inches. So you're multiplying both sides by 2. So 2 feet is 24 inches, so we're going to replace our 2 feet with inches. So we have 8 inches to 24 inches. So we're almost there. The last thing you need to do after we get rid of fractions, decimals, we don't have any in this case, but we need to simplify. So we have a common factor of 8, right? So we're going to divide by 8 in this case. So we have 1 to 3 would be our ratio. Okay. Now if we got to this point, and we'll pick one out in the homework that has this, but if you get down to this point and there's a fraction there, I'm going to show you how to get rid of the fraction. But you'd want to do that, and then also you'd check at the end and see if you can simplify once the fraction is gone. But I would deal with the fraction first if you've got one. All right. So we'll come back to an example on this. Next things that we're going to talk about are proportions. I know you dealt with these a little bit in algebra, but we're extending that a little bit. A proportion is a statement that 2 ratios are equal. For instance, A over B equals C over D. You're going to be using a lot of proportions in this chapter. If needed, occasionally you can set up an extended proportion, and that would be 3 or more equal ratios. So A over B equals C over D equals F over G. Okay, but if we put actual numbers in there, for instance, if this were 6 over 24, then you might have 4 over 16 and 1/4. All 3 of those represent the same ratio. Okay. Now one of the things that people get a little bit confused on is with the ratios, those have to be in the same units, but proportions don't have to be in the same units all around. A lot of people spend their time converting everything, for instance, so that it's all in inches. You don't need to do that. But what you do need to make sure of, so we'll just put a little aside here, the tops need to be same units and the bottoms. Okay, that's the easiest way to think of it. So if I have inches over feet in that part of the proportion, then I should have inches over feet in the other part, okay? And whatever part of this proportion you are solving for, if I were solving for this, then obviously when I'm done, that's going to be in feet. But if I were solving for this, that's going to be in inches. So you just have to keep it straight so your ratios are consistent. So some of your homework is going to be with extended proportions, or not extended proportions, but